charges relating to hush money payments made before the 2016 presidential election. And both crowds and public anger are now growing in New York and beyond, with the White House today warning that they were, quote, ready for violence. The incessant attempts to sully Trump's name appear to be failing, though, with YouGov polling showing that his popularity against fellow Republican presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis has hit an all-time high since his legal indictment was announced last week. So I'm delighted to be joined now by Seb Gorka, former advisor to President Donald Trump during his time in the White House. Seb, welcome back to the show. So
it's been a while, Dan. Thanks for having me.
It has. Great to have you back. But with the Donald's popularity continuing to soar, are his detractors' attempts to bring him down actually now backfiring spectacularly?
Well, to quote Judy from Brooklyn, one of our loyal listeners who called in today, I just got off my live national radio show. She said the following, and I'm going to tweet her out with her permission as soon as I'm off your show. Tomorrow morning, President Trump's enemies will have gotten him re-elected. So, you've quoted the figures. Every poll we see, not only is President Trump more popular than Biden, Biden has sunk to 42%. That's the second lowest he's ever been since the inauguration. He is between 20, Dan, and 30 points in front of the next person, who is the governor of Florida, to get the nomination for the Republicans as their candidate for the presidency. So this is the kind of, cutting off your nose to spite your face. The Democrats are so irrational in their vituperative hatred of President Trump, they're probably getting him reelected tomorrow.
And Seb, look, tomorrow is a historic day. Donald Trump seems to be leaning into the process. What are you hearing about what we can actually expect? Is he going to make some sort of statement after being arrested? How's he going to deal with it all?
Well, I just had the 40th Commissioner of the New York Police Department on the show. He said we are in totally unprecedented waters. The idea that this man will be put in handcuffs as he's being protected by the Secret Service is just insane, anathema. Even fingerprinting or photographing him for a mugshot, it's not as if people don't know what President Trump looks like. Utterly uncharted territory. When it comes to President Trump's plans, he will be back at Mar-a-Lago at his residence in Florida tomorrow evening, and at 8 o'clock local time, he will be making a statement to the nation.
Wow. What do you think he's going to say?
He's going to continue what he said right after the news of the indictment, the charge was leaked, that it's not about him. He's just a proxy for the 74 million Americans who voted for him. If you look at the last couple of years, Dan, it's insane. I'll give you one example. It's not just the January 6 people who are still in prison without having been arraigned for 2 years, some being held in solitary, which is just against the U.S. Constitution, where a man or a woman has a right to justice swiftly. But we have this absolutely notorious case, a pro-life pastor in Philadelphia who was protecting his 12-year-old son from an insane protester outside an abortion clinic who shoved him, was charged with a misdemeanor. The local court said, no, we quash this. This is garbage. You are protecting your son from a guy who was effing and blinding in his face. 4 months after that charge was dropped, 20 armed agents of the FBI stormed his home and in front of his 7 children arrested him. He won the case 3 weeks ago in a federal court. But President Trump has a very, very common, very powerful message. If you're a patriot, if you love America, if you're a conservative, they're coming after you. I'm just in the way. I'm not going to reveal anything else, but I expect that to be one of the main themes for his national statement tomorrow.
Do you think Republicans now believe, even if they used to be never Trumpers, that this is just an out-and-out witch hunt now?
Well, look, the facts of the matter are clear. In a court of law, there's something called a fact pattern. What is the fact pattern of the last 7 years, Dan? whether it was a secret operation called Crossfire Hurricane that involved the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA to try and inveigle themselves into the Trump campaign to somehow prove Russia collusion that failed, whether it was an overt investigation by the former director of the FBI for 20 months at the cost of $40 million, which was the Mueller probe, likewise failed, whether it was impeachment 1, whether it was impeachment 2, whether it was the January 6th investigatory committee of Congress, or whether it was the raid of his home by armed agents of the FBI. What does that tell you? That's just 7 years of persecution.
Indeed. Now, just want to quickly talk about the Republican primary political aspect of this, Seb, finally, because as you say, that raid at Mar-a-Lago, that happened in Florida, you know, the state run by Ron DeSantis. Trump will be making his statement to the nation tomorrow in Florida, the state of Ron DeSantis. How angry is Ron DeSantis going to be about this arrest? Because do you think he's worried that this has maybe blown up his presidential ambitions?
Well, he didn't exactly shower himself with glory the Monday after this arraignment was leaked. He made a statement from the podium when he said, "Oh, I'm not interested in this. This is hush money for porn stars." No, it's not, Ron. It's an NDA. I signed an NDA with President Trump when I became his advisor. I'm no porn star. So as a former judge, advocate, general officer in the Navy, he didn't really look like a strong candidate. Since then, he's tried to mend the bridges. But the fact that he secretly or very quietly on Friday had the Florida Senate change the Constitution of Florida so that now he can run as president without leaving the governor's mansion, he's being a little bit sneaky and it doesn't look good. So, Ron, start playing a real, open, transparent political game and not one of these underhanded ones. But when it comes to his campaign, I think he's cooked. He's done.
Absolutely fascinating